Okay, so we can start with the theory of social system. I hope so far everything is okay with Parson. We have discussed about social action and we have seen how he modified our Weber and how he improved our Weber. We talked about the impact of society in terms of value orientation, and we have talked about the influence of the individuals on meanings and emotions and motivation in terms of motivational orientation. And based on the combination of these two, we have discussed about pattern variables also. Now we will discuss about theory of social system. So I will give you a simple definition of social system, and then you can either go with that definition, okay, that is actually derived from Parsons definition, or you can go with exactly the Parsons definition also. It is slightly lengthy and it will be slightly complicated. So if it is possible for you to remember that definition, it will be very well. Otherwise, you can go with the simple definition. It goes like this. So if the social actions, or rather than saying social actions, simply saying if actions are oriented towards others, okay, the actions are oriented towards others, and this is in a state of mutual reciprocity. That means my action is oriented towards you, right? So this yesterday also we have discussed. My action is oriented towards you. That means action is oriented towards others and are in a state of mutual reciprocity. You are also reciprocating with what we are doing, right? So what I am doing, you are reciprocating in terms of listening to this, in terms of asking doubts and everything. So action is oriented towards others. In case of this class, my action is oriented towards you and is in a state of mutual reciprocity. So what will happen here? Here there will be an interaction. So this is the first stage of social system. So I hope you understood this. This is very simple only. Action oriented towards others and there is a reciprocity. That means it is interaction. This interaction will result into social system. So from here we are going to discuss about social system. The interaction will result into social system if there is a common goal. Yes, we have a common goal between us. It should be based on norms and values. Yes, there are some norms and values which we are following in the class, and there should be an abstract boundary. Abstract boundary. This is not a physical boundary. Boundary means, see, this is a very closed group. Only those students who have the password and login ID can enter here, right? So we already created an abstract boundary. Only sociology students are here. There are many other class also which is going on parallelly, but nobody is attending this, right? So we created an abstract boundary. So even if you talk about this class itself, now you can understand what you mean by social system. It is very simple. Just remember this only. This action, in case of your action also, action is oriented towards others. In our case, my action is oriented towards you and is in a state of mutual reciprocity. There is an interaction. This interaction will result into a social system, or it becomes a social system if these conditions are satisfied. Is there a common goal for us? Yes, right? We have a common goal that you all want to become IAS, IPS officers. There's a common goal. Norms and values? Yes, we are following certain norms and values in the class, and abstract boundaries there. So the Zoom class, whatever it is, no others, no external influence will come here, right? Only it is between us, only between sociology students and me also. So I hope this is clear. This is what social system. So this is what you need to write in the introduction. So action, so we are coming from where? We are coming from action that we have discussed in the first theory. So action oriented towards others in a state of mutual reciprocity, what will happen? Interaction. So these are the different stages. From action, if it is oriented towards others and state of mutual reciprocity, it will lead to interaction, social interaction. This will become a social system, provided there should be a common goal, there should be norms and values, and also there should be a boundary. Any doubt here, we can discuss further after clarifying any doubts if you have. So here I repeat once again, only action, it has to be oriented towards others and it should be in a state of mutual reciprocity. That means the other person also should reciprocate. It's not that I alone keep on talking, right? There is a reciprocation, then interaction. This will become social system. Yeah, if there is a common goal, norms and values, and boundary. Now if you see, there is a definition which is given by Parsons. This is very complex definition. But if it is possible, you can write that. Even if you are not writing that definition, not a problem. What I have discussed with you, this is derived from Parsons, and this is the best because this is showing the understanding and the conceptual clarity that you have from that definition. I'll see that definition also. It goes like this: consisting of plurality of individual actors interacting with each other in a situation which has at least a physical or environmental aspect, actors who are motivated in terms of tendency to optimization of gratification, and whose relation to their situations including each other is defined and mediated in terms of system of culturally structured and shared symbols. So it's very difficult definition, but I'll show you that definition. So this is the definition: consisting of plurality of individual actors. So if you see in our class itself, there is a plurality of individual actor, right? Then only what will happen? The interaction will happen. The reciprocation will happen. So plurality of individual actors interacting with each other. So this is the point of interaction. Interacting with each other in a situation which has at least a physical or environmental aspect, actors who are motivated in terms of tendency to optimization of gratification. So motivation is essential in Parsons' understanding that we have seen yesterday in terms of motivational orientation. Motivated for what? What do you mean by tendency to optimization of gratification? What is this? This is nothing but goal only. Okay, so for this only this word is used. So actors, all of us are motivated in terms of tendency to optimization of gratification. What is that? You all want to become IAS IPS officers, and whose relation to their situation including each other is defined and mediated in terms of system of culturally structured and shared symbols. What do you mean by this? This is nothing but the norms and values. Okay, so here I am talking about the boundary, here I am talking about the goal, here I am talking about the norms and values. Yeah, social structure, that boundary I'm talking about. So consisting of plurality of individual actors, you can remember also interaction will be there. There should be a physical or environmental aspect. It can be a boundary. Okay, actors who are motivated in terms of tendency to optimization of gratification. Okay, and whose relation to their situation with each other is defined and mediated in terms of system of culturally structured and shared symbols. So instead of writing this, what you can do? You can simply write this. According to Parsons, actions are oriented towards others and are in a state of mutual reciprocity. Social interaction takes place. So orientation, that is the first part, mutual reciprocity, second part, then interaction. This social interaction will result into social system if the interacting individuals are mediated by what all things? Goals, that is what this optimization of gratification. Norms and values, that is what this culturally structured and shared symbols, and a boundary around them, that's what this physical and environmental aspect. Okay, so okay, now this is a definition that is very simple only, and after this you have to satisfy certain conditions. So this condition also is essential, which is required. There should be interaction between two or more individuals, that is necessary. So interaction is required, and the interaction should take place in a social situation having a discrete physical and environmental aspect. Okay, so it should be in a social situation, and there should be collective goal. Goal occupy very important position in Parsons' understanding. So there should be collective goal, and then the members should be motivated to participate. So motivation is important, goal is important, it should be in a social situation, there should be interaction, and it develops a set of common values or consensus on role expectation. So if you take this as a social system, because there is interaction, it's in a social situation, there are collective goals, there are motivation, there are consensus on role expectation. What I will do, what you will do, there is a consensus, right? And there is a abstract boundary. There is a boundary also. You cannot see any others who are not part of sociology will enter into this class, right? So that means we created a boundary here. In this system, there is a boundary. It could be anything. It could be physical. We are not talking about that physical boundary here. No other elements will become part of this system. Okay, so you can easily understand in the form of this group itself. That's easy for you because you can see all these elements. Interaction is there. It is in a social situation. collective goals is there, motivation, role expectation is there, what every individual will do in the group is specified, abstract boundaries there. Okay, so I repeat, so action, if it is oriented towards others and are in a state of mutual reciprocity, what will happen? It will lead to interaction. This interaction will become social system if it is having some common goals, norms and values, and there should be a boundary. This as simple as that. That's it. This is about social system. Okay, but the problem is merely understanding what a social system is not Parsons' objective. He come up with a theory also. That is the second part. He come up with a functional theory of social system. And this theory is having two parts: the maintenance of social system and the functions fulfilled by a particular system. Okay, so he actually addressed two interrelated questions in this theory. That is, first of all, how the system is maintained, how the system is surviving. If you take our class itself, how this class is surviving, how the system is maintained, and the functions fulfilled by a particular system. What are the functions which are fulfilled by particular system? So these are the two questions which is going to be answered in the theory. So two questions will be answered in two parts, part 1 and part 2. So that is what we need to see now. What will be the part 1? That is related to this, how the system is maintained or how the system is managed or the survival of the system. And that you can see in this phase, mechanism equilibrium phase. That is the first phase. This in exam you may see moving equilibrium. Okay, that is nothing but mechanism equilibrium. Okay, so why it is moving equilibrium we will discuss now. Second part, requisite functionalism phase. Okay, so now if you go for moving equilibrium phase, this is how equilibrium is maintained. So we are talking about mechanism equilibrium phase. So in that phase, Parsons is actually trying to explain why society is always in an equilibrium. Okay, so there are certain mechanisms which are present in society. The role of these mechanisms is basically to fulfill certain needs. It could be law, it could be police, it could be judiciary, it could be family, it could be religion. All these are fulfilling certain functions, fulfilling certain needs, and that bring the society in equilibrium. So because of these specific mechanisms, society will be in an equilibrium. But there can be some situations where this equilibrium can break. That means there can be disturbance. Now when the disturbance is there, automatically there will be a feedback which will be given, and based upon the feedback, the specific mechanism will act again and will bring back fulfill the needs which is required at that point of time and will bring back equilibrium. So this cycle will continue. This is what moving equilibrium. Equilibrium is always maintained, whatever problem is there. For example, the infrastructure, the IT, the computer and everything is developing. So there is a possibility of cyber crimes, right? So what will happen when the changes are there? Cyber crimes are emerging because of IT and everything improving, and cyber crimes are coming. So there will be a disturbance now. So the feedback will be given. So the law, judiciary, police, etc. will act and will solve the problem. Or if it was joint family before, fulfill certain functions and equilibrium. Now industrial revolution and industries came, so migration coming, so nuclear family became the new norm. So there is a disturbance now. So the feedback will be given. So joint family will split into nuclear family, so that it will fulfill the needs of the new society, industrial society. So fulfill the need and bring back equilibrium. Okay, now if you see, even nuclear family also is a disturbance. So single parent family or live-in relation, no commitment. Okay, or weekend family. We are going to discuss all these types. You meet on weekends, right? Or single parent family, rather than having any commitment, you just adopt a child and have a life like that. So all these are specific mechanisms will work and fulfill needs, bring back equilibrium. So this is the first phase, mechanism equilibrium phase, where he explained how and why society is always in an equilibrium, because there are certain mechanisms. It can be anything. It can be religion, it can be family, it can be schools, it can be education, colleges or law or police or whatever is existing in society, fulfill some function and bring equilibrium. If there is any problem, I'll tell you how the problem can come. That will come in your next topic, that is cybernetic hierarchy of control. That can also be a separate question, but just now understand like this. In this context, you just need to know, in case if there is a problem, there will be specific mechanisms. Actually, you need to answer through this. Here, there is one more concept I have discussed. So based on this, we will explain how the problem is coming. This I will discuss after completing social system. That is the next topic. Okay. So just now your understanding should be, this is enough. Society is always in an equilibrium. If there is a disturbance, there will be a feedback. When there is a feedback, they will act upon to fulfill the needs, bring back equilibrium. So always society will be in equilibrium. That is the first phase. Second phase, that is a requisite functionalism phase. So in this phase, actually, what we have discussed in mechanism equilibrium is certain mechanisms, right? These mechanisms. So what Parsons says is, there are many mechanisms, but all these are basically four. Only four types. And these are the four functional prerequisites for any system. That is a second phase, requisite functionalism phase. Okay, so here what is the second phase? In the second phase, he is trying to understand the functions fulfilled, right? So what Parsons says is, there are four functional requirements for any system to survive, and there are only four functional requirements for any system to survive. Or if you put together all these mechanisms that we are discussing which are fulfilling certain functions, it will be ultimately four. So I repeat, for any system to survive, there are four functional prerequisites. If you meet the four functional prerequisites, the system can survive. And what are the functional prerequisites? These are the four functional prerequisites: adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency. And this is what popularly known as AGIL model. Okay, so adaptation, goal attainment, integration and latency. So adaptation means it implies generation and acquisition of resources from outside environment and ensure its distribution in the system. Okay, so means, for example, in our class, what is the adaptation requirement? What all things we need? For example, I need this iPad, the mic, the camera, the lights and the pencil, computer and everything, right, for taking the class. So these are the requirements which is there in this system. So it has to be given from outside environment. Okay, so generation and acquisition of resources from outside environment and ensure its distribution in the system. Then only this system can survive. Okay, so that is one of the functional prerequisite. If the system have to survive, this is one of the prerequisite, adaptation. Adaptation requirements means all these things which are required for the system. And in the context of society, this is actually fulfilled by economic system. Okay, so if you have money, you can buy everything from the outside environment and you can ensure the adaptation requirements of the system. So it is the economic system which ensure this, adaptation needs are met or not. Even in this class also, if you talk about adaptation needs, means all these, and that is the economic system which ensure that, right? Second, goal attainment. So we have discussed already, goal is very important for Parsons. Goal occupies an important position in Parsons' understanding of social action. Similarly, in the case of system, goal is the basic pre-requirement for survival. So for system, goal is a requirement of survival, and it involves not only determination of goal, but also motivating the members and mobilizing their energy to achieve the goal. And this is ensured by political system in the context of society. So first, adaptation, that is met by economic system. Then goal attainment, generally in society, that is a political system. Thirdly, integration. For any system to survive, there must be coherence, solidarity and coordination between different parts. In the case of society, the coordination is ensured by the cultural system. So it is the cultural system which act as this integrating agent or performing the integration role. Okay, and then the fourth is latency. Latency means the hidden or latent aspect of the system. So what is latent, we will discuss more when we discuss about Merton, but understand it is a hidden aspect. It implies storing, organizing and maintaining the motivation of the system. The maintenance of these motivation is a function of two interrelated problems, or it can be said that latency has two aspects. So when we discuss about latency, it is having two aspects, that is pattern maintenance and tension management. That means there is a pattern which has to be managed. Okay, for any system to survive, there should be maintenance of the pattern, and the tension also should be managed. So pattern maintenance, it refers to motivations of members to display appropriate characters in terms of needs, roles and aspirations. So in terms of these, we have some pattern. Even if you talk about the class also, that has to be maintained or managed. That is, a clarity is required in terms of expectation in these terms. Okay. Tension management, it concerns with dealing in the internal tension, strains of an actor in the social system. Okay, and it has to be generally managed by family system. Tension management generally by family. Thus, pattern should be maintained and tension should be managed for the survival of the system. Okay, so 4 functional pre-requirements: adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency. This is what we call as AGIL model. Adaptation needs are generally met by the economic system. Goal attainment by the political system, and integration may be cultural system. Latency, that is the family system, or you may see fiduciary system. Yeah, what I'm saying is, if we consider this class as a system, so we need certain adaptation requirements for this. Like you need mobile phone, you need books, okay, you need pen to write, and you need internet connection, and I need this iPad, this pencil, this camera, the mic and everything. These are the adaptation requirements of the system. So in this context, which system is fulfilling that? Economic system. Okay, because you need to get it from the outside environment and it has to be distributed in the system. Then only the system can work. So adaptation needs are completed by the economic system. Goal attainment, we generally say political system. It is already, the goal is fixed. Okay, and when we discuss about integration, it is the cultural system, means the norms and values, rules, etc. We are generalizing. This is something which is generalized. Latency, that is the hidden aspect, the internal aspect, the tension, etc. That is generally handled by the family system. Now these Parsons again represent this in the form of a matrix: AGIL. Adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency. Further, Parsons attempt to generalize the AGIL model by arguing that if one functional prerequisite is being met by a system, which in turn further have 4 functional requisites, thus finally he proposes that be it any system, whether it is social or not, but has 4 functional requisites. So what I'm saying is, we have discussed about 4 functional requisites, right? AGIL, for any system to survive. Now, for example, this adaptation needs, in the context of society, I have told you, this needs are met by the economic system. Okay, so this is met by economic system. But the point here is, this economic system is also a system which in turn further have AGIL requirements. Okay, so economic system is also a system which in turn have further AGIL requirement. In that also adaptation may be met by some system. So that also further can be divided like this. That means for any system, not just social system, for any system, there are 4 functional requirements. Any system if you take, whether it is political system, family system, any system if you take, there are 4 functional requisites. Okay, so that is what written here, and that is how represented like this in the diagram. This AGIL, for example, when we discussed about economic system, this was economic system, right, which is further divided into AGIL. Economic system also have adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency. Here we discussed about political system, that also have again AGIL. Okay, and within that again there can be AGIL, and within that there can be further AGIL. So that means, that is what this particular sentence. Thus finally he proposes that be it any system, whether social or not, has 4 functional requisites. Okay, so further Parsons concluded that all functional requisites are interrelated and dependent upon each other. That is, functional requirements are related to each other, and it can be represented like this. It's not complete here. You can show like this. Interrelated, okay? So all are actually interrelated. Just make that connection. So now here is the AGIL model of society. As we have discussed, that is economic system, and then political system, cultural system, family. This is not judiciary, it is fiduciary. AGIL. Okay. So economic system fulfill the adaptation requirement. Political system fulfill the goal attainment, needs. Cultural system, integration. Family system, that is a latency part, the tension management, etc. Okay, so this is the AGIL model of society. And there was a question in previous year, that is AGIL model of a university. So you need to, now this is very open to you. If you understood, only thing is that you need to know AGIL. What is AGIL? And in different context, you should be in a position to put this, and you can use your imagination and your knowledge, and you can write your answer. So in the context of university, you may come up with a different answer. I may give a different answer. So no problem. It is the person who is evaluating the paper will take it. Okay. So if you go for AGIL of a university, you can see adaptation. It is mainly economic system. So in the university, there will be a finance department. Okay. So that will take care of the adaptation requirement. Now goal attainment, instead of political system, we can talk from the university point of view. There will be various governing bodies, right? Various governing bodies of the universities will take decisions. Okay, and the goal. So integration, when you see, it can be interaction between student and teachers, right? And various fest, like inter-college fest, inter-university fest, etc. So all those things you can write here. So interaction between student, teacher, various fest, etc. That is acting as the integration agent. Latency, that is a hidden aspect, the tension management. So if you talk about university or colleges, there will be counselors. Okay, so the psychologist, counselors, etc. you can write here. And there can be peer-to-peer also, informal, the between friends also, among the peer group also, this tension management or the latency can be solved. Okay, so this may be a possible answer for the question of university. So again, it is from the understanding of Parsons, you need to write your own answer. So this is a finance department, adaptation goal. We know in the context of society what we have discussed, right? It is economic system, it is political system, this is the cultural system, and this is the family system. So just, putting it in a different language here. In case of university, instead of society, you see these are the elements that you need to write. Okay, so in this way, Parsons proposed a grand functional theory of system which can be applied not only on social system but to all system. But we explained in terms of social system, but it can be applied on all system. Any system if you take, there will be adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency. If you take this class as a system, there are 4 requirements. If you take a computer, which is a system, which in turn will have this requirement. So any system if you take, there will be these 4 requirements. It is a master analytical framework which may be used to understand the survival capacity of a system. Further, Parsons views for action system, the action system that we have discussed before yesterday, is nothing but the abstraction of the system fulfilling 4 functional requirements. This is 4. So when we talk about action system, it is nothing but the abstractions of AGIL. At the higher level, what is AGIL is what we have discussed yesterday in terms of action system. So there are 4 action systems, that is organismic system, social system, cultural system, and the personality system. So here what Parsons says is these are nothing but the abstractions of AGIL model. So there is a change here. This personality system will come here in the goal, and social system will come here in the latency part. Okay, so adaptation in the context of what we have discussed yesterday, it is organismic system, right? This is the physical aspect. Organismic system we have discussed as a physical aspect. Then goal attainment, personality system, it has to come here. Okay, so that is nothing but the mental or internal aspects, the goal attainment. Then integration, that is a cultural system. Latency, that is a social system, that is the interaction between individuals, etc. So this is the highest level of abstraction, and that's why Parsons theory is understood as master analytical framework or grand theory, etc. So what I've told you in this theory is, I'll summarize it. We have discussed about action. If actions are oriented towards others and are in a state of mutual reciprocity, what will happen? Social interaction will take place, and this social interaction will result into social system. Okay, when the interacting individuals are mediated by some common goals, and there should be norms and values, and there should be an abstract boundary around them. Okay, so this is a definition which I have given to you. Otherwise, we have also discussed about a very difficult definition that also you can write. So this is what we have discussed just now. Otherwise, consisting of plurality of individual actors interacting with each other in a situation which has at least a physical or environmental aspect. Actors who are motivated in terms of tendency to optimization of gratification, and whose relation to their situation, including each other, is defined and mediated in terms of system of culturally structured and shared symbols. You can just remember and you can write. So if you see here, we have discussed about interaction, mutual reciprocity, interaction. That's what interaction here. Boundary, that is what this physical and environmental aspect. Norms and values, that's what the culturally structured and shared symbols. Goals, that's what optimization of tendency of gratification. Optimization of gratification. And there should be interaction, social situation, collective goals, motivation, role expectation, abstract boundary. I've told you we can consider our class as a system. Why? Because there is interaction, it is in a social situation, there is a collective goal, motivations are there for each member, there is a clear-cut role expectation on what we do, what you do, what I will do. There is an abstract boundary that no others can enter into this class. So this is what system, and he also gave a theory on social system, and this theory is actually addressing 2 questions. How the system is maintained, what are the functions fulfilled. How the system is maintained is addressed in this phase, mechanism equilibrium phase, that we have discussed with the diagram, and the other one, requisite functionalism phase, that we have discussed in terms of AGIL model. So this is how system is maintained. If there will be specific mechanisms, problems, or this will fulfill some functions, maintain equilibrium. Problems, feedback will be given and will solve the problem. Requisite functionalism, what I have told you is, all these mechanisms, if you classify, it will be just 4. That's what the universal functional requisites. Okay, so 4 functional requisites are there for any system for survival, and we have discussed about adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency, and it can be seen in a matrix like this. And once a system met its 4 requirements, which in turn further have that, and that's how we have discussed here, it can further divide like this, etc. And then I've told you all these are interconnected, that you can show like this, and this is how interconnection. And we have discussed about, this is a AGIL model of society. I've given you the AGIL model of university also, and we have discussed about action system that we have discussed yesterday as nothing but the abstractions of AGIL model. So just make a correction here. Personality system should go here, social system should come here. Okay, just make this correction. And This part we will discuss tomorrow, cybernetic hierarchy of control. That's a very simple one. Yeah, any doubt? We can discuss now.